having a decent balanced amount of structure in your day and your life and your week actually gives you more freedom. It's not a cage. It's like a launch pad because it allows you to feel free within each of those blocks and know that you're like doing it right and not have to go back and figure out if you are or not.
Hey Nick, happy Monday. It's Monday when we're recording this. I'm not sure when you're actually listening to this, but I think Mondays are usually a either great kickoff to an amazing week or super chaotic. And for me personally, I cannot but feel overwhelmed this particular Monday. And it bothers me because I am a person who loves having many things to work on at the same time. Even though my mantra is options is where the hopes live, I cannot but feel super overwhelmed. So I thought maybe today we could start off talking about choices and how does one deal with the paradox of having too many choice and the need to focus, but also choice is really where hope and excitement lives.
Yeah, I think it's a perfect way to dive in because especially in this like work from home era, it's been like a really big issue for me for 10 years now. It's like freedom is my number one core value. I love being able to design my day. I love being able to say, tomorrow I'm going to my favorite bar class at Equinox at 8:30 and I'm starting my meetings at 10 and having that flexibility. I can work late or early, but also like of such an era of just analysis paralysis and too many options, like you said, and like this fatigue around like having to make decisions. And especially, I think, as consultants who help people make decisions for a living. And then when we're trying to make them for ourselves, it just sometimes feels, and I know I get caught in thought loops that are so silly and like a waste of energy, but like, where should I spend this next 90 minutes focusing on a new blog or outreach or reviewing this or connecting organically on LinkedIn or reviewing that? And it's, or should I clean my house and do my laundry? It's like this, but it's every 30 minutes for I think a lot of
Yeah.
overachievers. Like, how am I doing measuring?
You're starting a brand new business right now. So that's a lot of choices. I feel like sometimes when life is in almost like operating mode, where it's like things
Yeah,
are in place, you almost can't say things are less important, more important. But for you,
so
you're in the
true.
middle of launching a new business and you don't know. Like I don't know if even though you're so well experienced in this space, like the choice or which of the choices you're making is urgent versus critical. Do you know what I'm saying?
Totally. Yeah. My business partner, Aileen, and I keep talking about how we're so excited to get into a flow with some structure. And it's just so funny, I think, how like how choice really like determines how you place your focus.
I love that. So what are some tips? Because we're all about actionability on this
Yeah.
podcast. So for someone like me, my Monday is just nuts this Monday. I have too many things I want to do, too many things that I could do. But what are your tips on how do I get started?
Yes, I think that there's three questions that people can just check in and slow down and ask themselves when trying to figure out what should I do? Is this an important one I should make today or not? First being like, what choices do we actually have to make today and what is optional? Is there something you're stressing about letting drain your energy that actually doesn't need to be decided for 3 months? Like that you're just not leaving in the future where it belongs, or something you're going backwards, wondering if you did something right, but that's behind you. It doesn't belong in like today and the immediate what's ahead of us. And then second question being like, what choice is your future self already grateful for that you made today? Like bringing in celebration, acknowledging yourself, because I think, especially when we get outside of the structures and systems of corporate America and a boss saying good job and a team saying we hit the metric, like when you're your own boss in any lane, you're running your house or you're a mom, I think it's so hard to know if we're on track or not. And so just like any progress, I think taking time to just celebrate it is really important. And then also asking, what's the smallest kindest choice that we can make in the next hour that will move us forward? Like without the drama, without the pressure, lighten up a little bit. Okay, I'm going to pick one area out of these three competing ones. I'm going to decide and I'm going to go. And like you do it again the next day.
I love those three questions. Maybe we can spend a little bit of time unpack each of them.
Yeah.
Awesome. So the first one you said was, what choices do we think we have to make today and what is actually optional?
Yes.
Love that. Yeah. No, that reminds me a lot of, because if you have a full list of things, like you said, right, do they all have to be done today? Like, why do we think they have to be done
Yes.
today? And
It's
you
like
know what?
urgency.
Exactly. I know there's a classic framework that's something like importance versus like critical, like urgency. So
Mhm.
is this an urgent thing that needs to be done? I think sometimes there's always a nagging choice, like something
Yeah.
that, I think one of my clients in the past really just wanted to do this one thing, like the side quest, right? And no matter how many meetings we have, the side quest comes up. And it's not even really in a consideration set, or it is almost like not a strategy. We're in the strategy layer, and this is like a tactic. But yeah,
Mm.
like it is so nagging that it comes up over and over again to the point where I think just have to do it, right? Just do it and get out of the way. And the moment they've done it, they realize like this is not it. And that choice
Learn
disappears.
for themselves.
Exactly. But like it's hard though to know when do you give in to this nagging need to do something versus when do you just suppress it, right?
Mm.
Sometimes like maybe not suppressing it, maybe just giving it that little feed the monster a little bit could
Yeah.
actually get that craving out of the way. I don't know.
Yeah. The things that come up for me as you're saying that, I feel like one is the risk factor. Like with the
Mhm.
client example, it's if you really want to do it, doesn't matter if it's not on the plan. Is it a huge part of your budget? Is it a huge expense? Are you taking yourself away from something else very important? Like then maybe have more willpower, but if not, roll from it. And then slightly harder to like quickly diagnose, but something one of my mentors always told me was like, if you're making a decision towards love, expansion, I want that's my vision. I don't care. I'm going for it. Follow it. That's like a safe signal. Whereas if you're making a decision out of fear, then stop that. Oh shit, I'm not gonna be able to get to here if I don't do that. They're gonna be so mad at me if I don't do that. I'm gonna lose everything if I don't do that. Like a fear-driven decision. Like this coach always told me, like, don't act on those. Wait until you are in a really stabilized place to make choices.
I love that. That's so smart. So I think the takeaway here is we oftentimes think is should be done probably isn't nearly as urgent or
Mhm.
as critical. And I think sometimes stepping back and realizing, knowing yourself, are you the kind of person who's
Yeah.
going to are you the kind of person who allows these, have a parking lot that you can put things in, or are you kind of person who, if you just don't get that itch scratched, you're not going to be able to
Gonna
move
freak
on.
out.
Exactly. Like I think there's a huge element around like knowing who you are. And then I think the
Mhm.
other element to your point is around like knowing what this choice really is, like the risk factor associated with the opportunity cost of you focusing on this instead of something else. Like
Yes.
the purpose, is it really driving expansion, or is it to soothe a fear or as a reaction to something that isn't going to always allow you to make that choice effectively, right?
Totally.
I love that.
Love that.
Awesome. So then, shall we move on to the second question?
Yes. What choice is your future self already grateful for that you made today? For
Oh,
me, I have a really obvious one because
okay.
I went to the DMV this morning and I've lived in Miami for 11 months and I just now today went and got my driver's license and switched my registration and stuff. And to me, when I'm running other people's businesses and their money and my son and these really like urgent things that I kind of balance a lot of in my life, I'm like, okay, things like DMV go to the parking lot. Like they just They get dumped. It's not life or death. I barely drive anywhere. I had all these reasons in my mind why it wasn't important, but the drain that it can like siphon out of you, knowing that you have this to-do list behind you that just feels every time you see it, anything that reminds you, you're like, oh, I still haven't done that thing. I'm so behind. I'm the worst. All the like self-talk starts. And we sometimes we really should be a little more hard with ourselves on the things like that to just get them done. Like I feel so
Mhm.
good. That is off my list. Like all this spaciousness. Like good job.
I love how you're talking about like this idea around like win is for others. We always seem to be able to make better, faster, more convicted choices, right?
Yes, it's so true.
And then whereas like for ourselves, somehow we're lost in analysis paralysis as you talk about. But then I think this idea around like your future self, it's maybe like almost a different version. Like it's not me. If I think I love this question because it's almost like I'm not making this choice for me. I'm helping future me make a
Yeah, no.
choice,
Yeah, I
right?
love that.
And for me, it's always been getting a cup of water next to your bed after a night of drinking so that my 3 a.m. self is going to be grateful for my,
Hydrated.
yes, to be hydrated. But it's that, right? I think that's why people have these vision workshops. Like, where do you see yourself 5 years from? Where do you
Hmm.
see all this stuff? But I think because that person is so sometimes far away, that
Yes,
it's harder to hold that person to be real.
totally.
Versus, I wonder if there's something around, hey, the me next month or the
Mhm.
me tomorrow. Or in my
Mhm.
case, was like the me 3 hours from now when I wake up. But like that version of me is much more tangible. I can see her, I can
Mm,
gauge her. And so I think maybe as someone is thinking about that question, like what choice is your future self already grateful for? That future self should be someone in a time frame that matters to you,
I
that you
love
feel
that.
is tangible.
That makes so much sense and it tracks with marketing best practices. Like you can't advertise somebody a goal 3 years from now. They don't care. Attention spans are shorter. There's like a ton of science behind it. And you have to find something they want like now. And it's so relevant for me in my personal life. I'm not a savings kind of woman. Like people are like, what are you gonna do when you're ready to retire? And I'm like, that is so far away. Like I'm thinking about next month, the month after that, and I think I just really love that little like tactic you brought out because I do think that is such a powerful thing. Like tying it to next week or tomorrow or next month could make it you can feel it more in your body, less like disconnected.
Yeah. And I think that actually moves into our third question really well, which is like the choice that you can make in the next hour, right? That still moves you
Mhm.
forward. So you can even be like, me in an hour. What choice am I making right now that can move me further down in an hour? But
Yes.
yeah, but no, what is some, for you, what is a small, almost like kind choice that you make often that you don't even consciously realize that like that make it easier for you in the future?
Yeah, I think I don't always stick to it, and I'm glad we're doing this episode because hopefully it will remind me. But they say you get decision fatigue throughout the day. I think you can only make 35 or something. There was a study, I'll link it out, but like coherent, calm choices in a day. And being a morning person on top of that, it's like always do the things that are a little less comfortable or a little scarier, like in the morning. And that's just so true for me. If there's an uncomfortable email I have to send or a kind of awkward conversation I have to have, or like something with billing that makes me like feel a little stressed financially. I'm like, don't save these until night when I'm about to relax. Just do them in the morning. Don't think about it. Just do it. Drop the story around it. I feel like that is like something I need to invite in more.
I love that. I think being conscious around not just like the what, but then the when, I
Mm,
think it's so fascinating. For me, I feel like the small kind choices I make is just getting a cup of tea. I know it's so
mm,
weird, but the motion of leaving my desk,
ritual.
yeah, and just taking that short walk over to get a cup of tea feels like I'm almost like ending a chapter and I
Mm,
can start a new one. And but the opposite of too many choices, but it's when you're hyper focused, right? Like
Yeah.
the day goes, but it's like you said, it's so draining.
Hmm.
And so I think personally, I've noticed that I have been using a cup of tea as almost my like chapter.
I love that. I
Yeah.
love that so much. You and I balance each other out so well because that's such a simple, easy practice that doesn't require any thought that anybody could do. A water break, a walk, a 5 minute check-in. Like for me, because I love fitness and all that stuff so much, I'm like, I don't even congratulate myself for that anymore. I'm like, that is a necessity. And so for me, I'm always like overanalyzing how I can best structure the day and optimize my energy. And I love that you just bring in these like just very simple things.
Yeah, those are actually feel so much better having talked to you. I literally felt so overwhelmed this morning. I was so glad that
Mm,
you and I were doing this podcast today because I just felt very not grounded.
yeah,
And it just seems like coming out of a crazy weekend. Like when you asked me earlier, like how was your weekend? I was like literally can't remember, but what I carry with me is almost this energy of overwhelming choices. And then I think your three questions are so good because your three questions around what do we think we have to really do versus
mhm,
actually is optional, thinking through from that perspective, both knowing yourself and knowing the choices themselves and finding the ones that really make
yeah,
sense, I think is critical. And then the second question around your future self, being grateful for choices you're making today, but also reframing that in the sense of having a very close or near term future self, like a near
yeah.
future self, I think it's a great way of making that question work for me. And last but
Mhm.
not least, is like being reminded there are already things I have in play that I do, taking a water break or a tea break
Mhm.
that allows me to kind of breathe, right?
Yeah,
Between these choices. So even though I'm super overwhelmed, now I feel like I have a framework or a couple things I can go away with and like pause while I drink my tea, think
yeah,
about what like this evening me would be grateful for that I have accomplished now and of the things that suits who I am in this moment.
yes, I love that. And I think the only other thing I'd add is like setting your own definition of success, I think is so important. Like for me, I feel good today. I'm in a great mood because I got something done big off my checklist early in the morning by 8:30 a.m. But I'm also aware that 3 days ago, I got absolutely nothing done. And I like actively told myself, you don't have to get something done to have done a good job. It's okay. You deserve to just have a day where you had a headache and you didn't get much done at all. You're still a good person. You're still a good mom. You're still okay. I think it's so important to just stay in touch with yourself and what's really important to you, what's really necessary, running through these questions because like otherwise we can just spiral into such negativity and like we're so harsh on ourselves. And it's like sometimes there are people who are making very bad decisions. They need to be like, wake up, get with it. But I think more often, like what I see in all of our circles and clients and friends is people are doing a great job. They're just not like celebrating.
I love that. I think that's so important. Maybe our next episode should be talking about that.
Love that.
How do you assign value or how do you celebrate or how do you bring
Mm,
the
ritual.
yeah, and so that your focus feels, I don't want to call it more purposeful, but I do think they tie together, right? So why
Totally.
for some people it's like, why should I focus? And maybe we can lean in our next episode on that.
I love that. Sounds fabulous.
Okay, great. Thanks everyone for joining us. And I hope you got those three questions and can apply them to your lives. And I hope you join us for our next episode.
Have a fabulous day.